Welcome to Handheld Gaming Reviews, a channel dedicated to reviewing and comparing the performance of games on handheld devices. If you enjoy this content, a like and subscribe will go a long way to helping the channel and keeping me motivated to make more videos. In this video, I'm going to speak to my experience traveling with the ROG Ally. For some background, I travel frequently for work, most recently from Canberra to Perth via Melbourne. For those not familiar with Australian geography, that's east to west coast. The first flight from Canberra to Melbourne is around an hour, with about a 35 to 45 minute layover, then a 4-hour flight from Melbourne to Perth. In this video, we'll cover what's included in my handheld travel kit, how the Ally performed at the airport, on the plane, and at the hotel. Stay tuned for feedback on the hotel, as that's where I think the ROG really shines when traveling. When traveling with the ROG Ally or Steam Deck, I always take headphones, a 50-watt power bank rated at 20,000 milliamp hours, a USB cable rated to 100 watts, a mains power adapter, and a travel case for the handheld. For this trip, I also brought with me a dock and wireless controller so I could plug the ROG into my portable laptop screen or the TV at the hotel. I also travel with a small USB keyboard and trackpad combo in case I need it, which in this case turned out to be really handy, especially as the Windows experience is a lot better with keyboard and trackpad or mouse. Save battery for the plane. If I use a handheld at the airport, I always play plugged in. I found the ROG to be less user-friendly than the Steam Deck, as I'm not confident that the sleep function on the ROG performs correctly, as it often takes a long time to go into sleep mode, and I have read reports on Reddit of people accidentally cooking their units inside the travel case, as it's not put itself to sleep correctly. To be safe, always shut the ROG down from the Windows menu using the turn off option. What this means is you can't just hit a button and go as you can with the Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch. It's not a huge inconvenience, but one extra thing to think about. Also a consideration when turning the device off before you leave the plane. I've traveled with the Steam Deck more times than I can count. I typically get between 2 to 4 hours on power bank depending on the title, and have pushed it out to 5+ hours on longer flights by dropping the refresh rate down to 40 Hz and lowering the in-game settings to low. Last game I did this with was Subnautica below 0. If you've watched any other videos regarding the ROG Ally's performance, you'll already have heard the battery life is not great. Well, I can confirm that with some caveats. The ROG can have good battery life if you're willing to play around with some settings. With the same power bank, I was lucky to hit 2 hours with the ROG on 15 watts running at 1080p with medium settings. That was playing Medieval Dynasty. Once the power bank was flat and I was using the ROG's internal battery, I dropped the screen and internal in-game resolution to 720p, all graphics settings to low, put the unit into 10 watt mode and dropped the refresh rate to 60 Hz. Doing all of this, the game ran surprisingly well, averaging over 40 FPS and giving me just over 2 hours of playtime before the battery dropped to 20%. On the flight back home, I used these settings from the start and got somewhere between 3 to 4 hours out of the power bank and didn't run out of battery on the unit itself. Time will tell, but my first impression is the ROG is more power hungry even at 15 watts than the Steam Deck. For the most part, this is where the ROG Ally really shines. Why? Plugged into a USB-C dock, using a controller and displaying the ROG on a TV, this is the most portable console-like gaming experience I've had. And for some context, I have been known to travel with a PS4 on work trips. The ROG ran Diablo 4 and Call of Duty on the big screen really well, and if you think of this as an ultra-portable console with the option to play in handheld mode, then the ROG is a clear winner over the Steam Deck. While you can play the Steam Deck docked, it's not as pretty an experience, and if you're into games that use anti-cheat software like Call of Duty, you're also out of luck. It wasn't all roses playing at the hotel, however. For some reason, Microsoft Game Pass kept on glitching into the infinite Let's Play loop while I was using my mobile phone as a hotspot. This was eventually remedied by putting the ROG back into flight mode, and once I got back home, the ROG seemed to play Game Pass games fine on my Wi-Fi. Although, once getting back home and trying to install some of the same games on my laptop, Game Pass kept on getting to around about the 74% download mark and erroring out. Eventually this was fixed by chance just on one of my attempts to cancel and restart the download from scratch. One of the main selling points for the ROG for me was the ability to play Game Pass games on the go. While it works okay, it does have its bugs. Microsoft, for a company that had the balls to pay over $1 billion for Bethesda, I'm sure you can find a way to fix Game Pass. Move away from your company name sounding like a branded toilet paper and towards a company whose name is, well, I mean, you get the idea. Will I travel with the ROG again? Yes, I think so, but more for the hotel console experience. Playing on the plane and at the airport, I'd have to say the Steam Deck would be my first choice. but 12 months from now I might do a video to see what I actually ended up traveling with the most. If you've made it to the end, a big thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.